introduce myself. My name is Judy Myers, and I am the campus chair for the Chicago campus. And I want to start out with a few opening remarks as we get the meeting going. I want to thank all of you for being a member of OLLI and creating what I have come to value as a welcoming and supportive community. And I was thinking about what are some of the things that all of you have done that has made OLLI such a great place to be. And so I made a list. I said, you've been patient with registration snafus. And I find that you have all been supporting the study group coordinators by actively participating in discussions and volunteering as discussion leaders. Would you raise your hand if you were a discussion leader in at least one study group this year? Look at that. That's what makes OLLI so great. You've attended extracurricular programs. Again, raise your hand if you attended at least one extracurricular program, whether it was a noontime lecture or a special program. See, look at all your active participation. You've engaged in the social activities. Again, raise your hand if you attended at least one social activity, whether it was a brown bag lunch or the holiday party. See, look at all of that. I think that is wonderful. You've served on committees. Raise your hand if you have served on at least one OLLI committee this year, past year. See, look at that. And you have donated to the member fund during Giving Week, and I think that is great. I'm not asking you to raise your hand if you donated. Well, and I would like to encourage all of you to continue your activities and your level of engagement in OLLI. I want you to keep up to date by continuing to read the weekly OLLI newsletter that drops into your inboxes on Sundays. The staff puts a lot of effort into organizing those newsletters, and they listen to the feedback we give them about how to make that newsletter even more informative and easier for us to read. I'd like you to consider volunteering to be a committee vice chair. And when the nominations committee comes knocking, that you can say, yes, I'm willing to try it. I'd like you to consider proposing a study group idea to the study group committee and becoming a coordinator. OLLI provides so much support and education to help you become a coordinator. And if nothing more, I'd like you to continue to share your ideas and feedback with the members of the advisory council and the OLLI staff, because that's going to help OLLI better meet your needs. So at this time, we would like to recognize some of the people who have served OLLI on the advisory council and are outgoing. And we realized people from last year, and Emily, you want to come up and help get this done? People from 2023, 24 didn't get the recognition that they deserved. And so we're going to start recognizing those people first before we move on to recognizing people from this year, 2024, 25. So Angela DeVersa, who has been my mentor and helped me move into this role, she is this year been our past campus chair, but she has been campus chair last year, and she was, as I said, Thank you, Angela, for mentoring me into this role. We'd like to acknowledge Dorothy Balabanos. She has kept the Academic Enrichment Committee going and continues to serve on it as a member, supporting the current vice chair who will become chair. We'd like to acknowledge Pat Stankard, who last year was coordinator development. Diane Valencia, who served last year as membership enrichment. We'd like to acknowledge Martha Bills, even though she has continued to rotate from one committee to another. Last year, she was study group, and Martha's one of those people who is not afraid to step up and stay involved. And she's a good role model for being an actively engaged OLLI member. Now we're going to move on to the 24, 25 outgoing people.
And the other folks on this list are in Evanston. Are any of you here, Roberta, Bob, Peg, or Mike? Anybody? We'll honor them next week in Evanston.
Do you want to bring up? All right. And I'm going to be switching roles. I'm going to be leaving the role as campus chair, and I will become the past campus chair, or chair emeritus, I think some people call it. And I'm looking forward to working with Emily and the incoming advisory council to take on projects that need to be done and where you need an extra pair of hands to get things going. I have so enjoyed being campus chair and getting to know. I've come to value OLLI more. I thought I was coming to OLLI for just the learning, and I have learned the value of OLLI as a social support organization too. And I have felt such joy and sometimes even felt love in my involvement with people from the social aspects of OLLI. Margaret Schultz is going to be stepping down as chair of the study group committee. We want to acknowledge Dan Burns for his getting us through the development committee and the challenges of Giving Week. And he has been a reasoned voice in resolving issues as they came up in the development committee. Thank you, Dan, for all that you've done for us. Geneva Norman, is Geneva here? Geneva. Well, we will make sure that she gets her recognition. Geneva has been the guiding light for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee for several years and has kept that committee alive and going, and we're going to miss her active involvement at that level. Martha had been the vice chair for DEI this past year, and the nominations committee recognized that Martha has so many skills and contacted her, so she will be moving into a new position on the advisory council. And when Joe presents the slate for the coming year, you will see that. Huh? Yes. Eileen Hunnigan, are you here? No. Eileen has been our chair of membership enrichment. She's a great event planner, and we will make sure that she gets her recognition too. So, Joe, I'm going to ask you to come up this is kind of the official business of the annual meet. I know you're here to find out about summer and fall study groups and to eat cookies and bars, but this is the formal business of the annual meeting, which is the presentation of the slate of candidates for the upcoming advisory council and your approval of those people. So Joe.
Okay, but before we move on to the nominees for next year's committee chairs, I do want to acknowledge two other folks that have been very active in formal and informal roles. There are a number of folks that have been on ad hoc committees that have advised me individually and in groups, and I have a slide with all of your names coming up. But the two that I really want to recognize are Joe Hinkle, who is everywhere all at once, including going with me to the National Osher Lifelong Learning Institute conference this year and gave a talk and led a roundtable discussion. So thank you very much. I also want to acknowledge Julia Katz, who I don't see in the room, who has been coordinating all of the coordinator exclusives that are a benefit of being a coordinator, the extra learning opportunities that you get. She is not here, but she has worked tirelessly to run 2 of these events a year, and I just met with her again today about our fall coordinator exclusive. So please, a round of applause for Julia. Okay.
Okay, I think we should give Judy one more round of applause. We didn't really recognize her. I guess I'm here now. It's chair of the nominating committee. And the committee you can see included Diane Valencia, Angela Diversa, Diane Lederer, and Bill King. We did things a little bit differently this year. I don't know if we were more successful, but we took longer to do it. We started in January and struggled through coming up with our nominees. And I think we've got a very good list, and we'll probably get to this. I presume I can advance the slide and see that. Ooh, the Evanston nominating committee. Here, no. Thank you, the tech team. We'd like to thank you, tech team. We forget how valuable they were just a few years ago when we were all Zooming. Special thanks. Okay. Your name's on there. Okay. And now we get to the nominations for the upcoming year. And the people we're nominating are those in green. As is always the case, the vice chair is selected and then moves into the chair position the following year. So people becoming chair have in most cases been nominated the year before. For campus chair, we have Steve Gruska. Steve's here. Let's see. Find I'm trying to find the Chicago ones on here. Oh, and DEI, we have Diane Valencia, proving again the dangers of being on the nominating committee. Kevin McCann, is Kevin here? Barbara Leff in membership enrichment. Martha Bills in study group. And Martha wanted to make an announcement. If anyone would like to buy one of these beautiful purple bags, she now has 612. And the closet's getting full. So talk to Margaret afterward and you can probably get a pretty good deal. And I think that's it. Ed Kleinenberg is going to be vice chair of development. Some of the committees have combined with both campuses, and Ed's agreed to take this role. So a number of the people will be serving on advisory council for the first time. That's a good thing. And So we're happy about that, and we're happy about the enthusiasm that all of them showed. And I really should point out Diane in particular, because she worked extremely hard on our nominating committee and agreed to help us solve a problem in study group and DEI. And so I greatly appreciate that, and I know DEI is in great hands with Diane. So I think the next matter of business is to have the membership vote approval of those nominees. I guess if anyone wants to run against, almost all of us are willing to get beat. Okay, if not, could I have a voice acclamation to approve the nominees? Aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. That is one of the responsibilities of the campus vice chair, is to chair the nominating committee. And I think, Steve, it'll be in good hands with you. Oh, yes, take your bag. So at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Emily as our executive director to make a few comments before we move on to the reason you're here, which is the summer and fall previews.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy and Joe, for your leadership. It's been a great year. The purple bags are our gift to you. That's yours, Judy. Inside is a special OLLI sweatshirt just for committee members. We do have extra sizes, so if you realize that we've given you the wrong size, then stop by the office and we'll get you set up. But thank you to all the committee chairs and vice chairs that we had this year. Everybody worked so hard. I want to back up real quick to this special thanks for special projects. So I called out Joe and Julia. These are a number of folks. I think I probably don't have everybody on here who have worked on ad hoc committees or advised me in some way. So a big thank you to all of you. So I'm going to keep this nice and short because, again, I know we want to get to the good stuff. But I just wanted to share what a great year I've had here at OLLI. This is my first year here, and it's been fabulous. There's been a learning curve, to be sure, but you all have been so supportive and so kind and so knowledgeable, skillful, enthusiastic. I'm so glad that I'm here, and I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I look forward to doing this for a long, long time. You can't get rid of me. So for those of you that are newer to OLLI, you might not know about all of the committees that exist. And I'm not going to go through this whole slide with everything that every committee member does. But once again, if you served on a committee this past year, please raise your hand. Anybody who is interested in participating in a committee, please approach one of these people and ask them about their experience and how you can get involved. There are lots of great opportunities that will fit your interests and skills and how you want to spend your time. I also want, thank you to the members. And then quickly, I want to thank all of the people who brought new members in this year. We had another great year with about just over 1,300 active members, and that's not including this summer. And so we're in really good shape to be about where we were last year, and 1,300 is a really good number for us considering our capacity in terms of staff and space, so this is a good thing. And we have almost as many new members as the last 2 years. We expect a few more to join us in the summer. And I got to tell you that you probably already know this, the most common way that people find out about OLLI is through word of mouth. And we tallied up who recruited the most new members. And we have a little special something for you. Gail Nichols, are you here? Gail also recruited the most people in 2022-23. So she recruited 4 new members just in the past 2 years. And then Ted and George, are either of you here? No, George is usually in Evanston, maybe Ted too. Yeah, they each recruited 4 members. And then Maureen, Fred, and Bill, are any of you here today? They each recruited 3 new members in the last 2 years. Pretty amazing. We have a little gift for them too, and we'll make sure that they get it. But please invite your friends to come take a look. It's the best way for people to join OLLI. And I think of OLLI as a resource that should be available to everyone. So please spread the word. We have little cards in the office with general information. We just got new ones printed with all the updated information. So grab a handful, keep them in your wallet, and pass them out to anybody you think might enjoy being here with you. And bring them along for a free class. You can always do that. I also want to thank all of the donors that gave to OLLI this past year. It was another great giving year. We raised just under $116,000 for our member fund this past year, which is on par with how we did last year. Our participation rate is really amazing. It's 38%, which if you work in development is pretty remarkable. It's another great year. Thank you to all the donors who gave. We had actually more total donors than last year, 513 over 482. So that's really wonderful. And a number of people giving lead gifts and advance gifts. That's gifts over $250 and $500. We recognize our donors on the OLLI Honor Roll, which already went out in the newsletter. And we'll have it posted in the offices as well. So thank you to all of our donors. Big round of applause. I also want to thank the coordinators. We had 50 new coordinators this year. Big pat on the back. If you were a new coordinator this year, please raise your hand. Anybody in this room? Kevin? Yep. You back there? Yes. Thank you for stepping up. Robert, I see you back there. Thank you all for stepping up. As you know, coordinators, we wouldn't have a program without coordinators. And we have over 250 coordinators at any one time. If you are a coordinator or have coordinated this year or any year previous, please raise your hand. Yeah, preaching to the choir here. For sure. Thank you for everything you do. Anyone who hasn't tried coordinating yet, please reach out and consider it. You can easily learn what it might be like without committing to it. You can just have a conversation. And Martha and Pat right here ran a workshop recently to help people to design a study group, and they'll be doing more of those workshops in the fall, sounds like. So thank you to Martha and Pat. Yes, thank you to all the coordinators. As you may know, last year was the inaugural year for the Newt Minow Award. You may know Newt Minow as the amazing person that advised Barack Obama, started the FCC, and I'm forgetting one of the other big things, started PBS. And you may not know that he started the lifelong learning program at Northwestern, even before it was the Osher lifelong learning program. And he really valued discussion-based classes. Now I believe one of his daughters is still a member, is that right? He was a member up until he was in his late 90s, I believe. When I started this job and I heard that he started this program, I nearly broke down in tears. My husband works for PBS, and so both of us have jobs that without Newt Minow wouldn't exist. So it really means something to me. These are last year's winners of the Newt Minow Awards. This is any coordinator who has coordinated over 50 study groups, which to me sounds incredible. So everyone on this list last year was recognized as having over 50 study groups under their belts, with Martha Bills having now over 175 study groups. Yeah. And Dick Whitaker is up there with, I think, 112. So you've blown everybody out of the water, Martha. You're quitting. Can't do that. So this year's Newt Minow Awards, those that just reached over 50, newly this year are, as follows. Please raise your hands or stand up as I read your names. Dorothy Balabanos. Woo! Pat Stankard. Bill McGuffage. Ron Denham. Carol Dietz. Where Carol? Naomi Fisher. Jerry Bernstein. John Drodow. Some of these are Evanston folks. Jim Smith. There he is. Michael Goodkind. Hillel Furliger. Michael Singer. And Tim Atkins. Where's Tim? I think Tim reached 50 in all of 3 years somehow. He does so many at once. So thank you to all of you. We will be recognizing the Newt Minow Awards at our annual coordinator thank you luncheon. And so you'll be getting your little award then. So thank you all. And lastly, I want to thank our incredible staff. Matt and Lori. They snuck away, but Matt and Lori, there you go. Matt and Lori in Chicago and Ashley in Evanston. I want to thank them for making my first year so smooth. It was mostly because they already knew how to do everything and they still are teaching me every day. And they're so excellent at their jobs and they're so kind and so patient. Please let them know how much you appreciate them next time you an email. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Still having trouble. Okay. Could be bad. Yeah. All right. So thank you all. And now we're going to reset for the summer and fall preview. So perhaps while we figure out the sound, take a minute, grab another cookie. Okay. While Pat and Margaret come up. Okay. Yeah.
I'm good, George.
I started well, I don't anymore. I mean, it took introductory course. Ariel. Yeah, but I took 2 courses with her. Yeah, I took a couple of music courses. But anyway, so my wife's a double poster wildcat. Goes up to ever think about identity college course, like what college. So I checked it out. Actually, I used to work with Ferrin, who's up in yeah, so and I started coordinating because I co-coordinated summer New York class. Okay. Now I've got 5. Need a hobby. I've only been a mom for 7 years. I do Oh. Two of the classes. Doing a, doing a, no, that's what they had, yeah. Colin said, a 14-week one on Laurel Canyon area in LA that, for doing a 7-week course on Bruce Springsteen. This October is the 10th anniversary of the appearing of Bruce time and you know, taking the first 7 albums and figuring out how it with Eli, third, fourth Eli, we're doing opening nights so looking at reviewers of Broadway opening nights or figuring out things they're talking about, it's become better than they thought. Listen to cast. It's also songs like by the Weavers and other singers like that.
Test 1 2, test 1 2.
Okay, people, we are ready to go here. So can you all hear me now that I have a working microphone? Okay, I am Margaret Schilt, this past year's study group chair. And the first thing I would like to say is thank you to all of you who coordinated a study group over the past year. You guys all did a fabulous job, and I deeply appreciate it, along with all the people who attended your study groups who appreciated that too. Okay, the way we're going to work this is there are 5 chairs over here. This is the bullpen, basically. And I'm going to ask various quadrants of the room, those people who would like to make a 1-minute preview of their study group for either summer or fall, to come up as I call you to the 5 chairs to be in waiting, and then one by one you'll come here. Then when all 5 are done, 5 more will come. And hopefully we can do this with a minimum of messing around. And oh, Pat wants me to remind you that she will waive the red envelope if you are going over your allotted time. And you should know if you have more than 1 study group, you get a minute for each. So don't think you have to talk very fast like they do on television. The one thing that I would ask you to do, I know some of you have both summer and fall study groups. At the beginning, before you talk about your study group, say whether it is a summer or fall, so that we don't have a lot of people raising their hands saying, is that a summer or a fall? They will already know. Dan? Ah, yes. Thank you, Dan. Clarify that it's on campus or virtual at the time you say it is summer or fall. Any questions about that? We all clear? Okay, sorry, Rob? Not for Evanston, Chicago, and virtual ones that came through the Chicago portal. So this quarter of the room, we need 5 people up in these chairs. And I think Judy is going to begin for us to model good behavior. And then we'll go through the 5.
I'm also modeling. And if the one that you received isn't the right size for you, Lori will help you exchange it for a size that fits. I'm wearing a medium. They had given me a small petite, and there's no way I was going to wear that. But they are comfortable. Okay. Summer. In person, Chicago campus. Judy McHugh and I are offering a study group we're calling Poetry and Art. We are going to be exploring what's called ekphrastic poetry, which is based on a poet reflecting on a specific piece of art and then writing a poem about it. And we are going to review so many different types of ekphrastic poetry and different that span centuries, going back to Homer and all the way up to current contemporary poets and the artwork that has inspired them. Fall, virtual poetry in the New Age is a continuing poetry group that looks at primarily contemporary poets and their poems. And we welcome new members to come in and join us. It's one of the reasons I stick with OLLI. As someone with a background in healthcare, I didn't know that poetry would be so meaningful in my life. And so it's through OLLI that I have found a new passion. And so summer, ekphrastic poetry in person, fall, virtual poetry in a new age.
Next, that would be you.
Okay, my name is Eli Liebenson, and I and two fellow co-coordinators, Kevin McCann, who's sitting here, and David Prosnitz, in the fall, in person, a 7-week class called Opening Nights and Kumbayas. So the idea of this class is we have a text with the theater critics of the New York Times and other important newspapers in New York. What did they write about the musicals that they saw on opening night? So that's how we will begin it. But most of the class will be enjoyable, watching, things from YouTube, from the different musicals that we chose. So that's opening nights. The second hour, it's a 2-hour class, is Kumbayas. And we had oh, come on. Okay, so I'm finishing up. So this is going to be folk singers in concert, beginning with Paul Robeson, ending with the Kingston Trio. I'm getting the red class. Okay, I'm wrapping it up. Okay, last thing. We don't like to meet in this kind of a setting. We like to meet around a table. We look for warmth. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I've got two that I'm coordinating. Okay. From box office bombs this semester to blockbuster films next semester, Tom Swanstrom, Arnie Miller, and I will show films that either won or were nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture, and also with high ratings from film viewers. Let me read the list of just a few of the films we're considering. On the Waterfront, 1954. Marty, 1955. Witness for the Prosecution, 1957. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, 1958. The Apartment, 1960. The French Connection, 1971. The Last Picture Show, 1971. The Sting, 1973, and Unforgiven. Boy, I'm signing up for this course, I got to tell you. Okay, second one. I'm sorry, fall in person. This is also fallen in person. I forgot the book, but it's over there. Ann Rusnick and I will lead a study group next semester based on a book written by the Pulitzer Prize winning author Anne Applebaum. The title, read the title for me. It's The Iron Curtain, The Crushing of Eastern Europe, 1944 to 1956. The focus of the book is on 3 different Central European countries, East Germany, Poland, and Hungary, and describes how Joseph Stalin, at the end of World War II, was able to impose a communist society on these countries. By studying this book, we will gain an understanding of totalitarianism in practice and how it shaped the lives of millions of Europeans in the 20th century, while being reminded, I have to tell you, of at this uncertain time, of how fragile freedom can be. Okay.
Bill?
Okay, this will be a fall group in person in Chicago. Uh, The, and I'm looking for a co-coordinator. The group will be The Weirdest People in the World. Weird is an acronym for Westernized, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic. So as you can tell, we are some of them. And if an observer had looked at the world in 1000 AD, you would have expected that it would ultimately be dominated by either the Chinese or the Islamic world, both of which were advanced civilizations. Europe was a backwater in the wake of the fall of the Western Roman Empire. But the author, Joseph Henrich, who's the chair of the Harvard Department of Human Evolutionary Biology, draws on cutting-edge research in anthropology, psychology, economics, and evolutionary biology to find how this occurred and what happened and how it happened.
I haven't even started yet. Okay, on campus next fall and spring, actually, 2-semester course. 2-semester course based on the book The Power Broker by Robert Caro. The book chronicles the life and influence of Robert Caro, one of the most powerful figures in urban planning and development in the 20th century. In telling the Moses story, Caro describes the way politics really happens, the way things get done in America's city halls and state houses. Serving alongside 6 New York governors and 5 New York City mayors, Moses was more powerful than any of them, despite the fact that he had never been elected to any public office. The book is a study of power, the rise to, the use of, the love of, the lust for, and the loss of power. Join us for this 2-semester course. What can I? No, it'd be fall and spring. So they're 2 14-week. No, in person. Okay, I cede my remaining 10 seconds.
Hi, I'm Dory Rand. I'm going to briefly talk about 2. The first one is this summer in person, Thursday mornings in Chicago. We're going to read 2 books, Clark and Division and Evergreen, both by Naomi Hirahara. They're mysteries, but they're also kind of like historical fiction because they follow a Japanese-American family removed from LA, gone to the Manzanar detention camp, then relocated to Chicago to the Clark and Division area. That really happened to people. And then a couple years later, they returned to their home in LA. They no longer have their home and their business, but they restart their lives in Little Tokyo. That's number 1. Number 2, and that's with my co-coordinator, Michael Goodkind. In the fall, Thursday mornings in Chicago in person, Michael and I are continuing the espionage series for the first 7 weeks of the semester, and I hope you'll join us. Thank you.
Okay, if I can have 5 more people come up and sit in the chairs, and while you are organizing yourself, I will do mine to save time. I'm doing 3 in person in the fall. I'm not doing anything in the summer. The first is with Angela Diversa. We are doing Scandinavia in the Viking Age. This is less focused on the raiding that the Vikings did all over Europe and down towards Istanbul, but more on the culture they built in Scandinavia while they were doing all of this. We have 2 books we're using. One is called Scandinavia in the Age of the Vikings. You can see it's fairly slender, but it's a great book on that. And also a recently published Embers of the Hands, Hidden Histories of the Viking Age. These books are based on recent archaeological discoveries in Scandinavia. We hope it will be a very interesting study group. Okay, that's one. The second one I'm doing with Steve Goldberg, and it's called Justice, Power, and Human Nature in the Athenian Century. Athens started out as a group of city-states and became an empire in the 5th century BC, achieved military dominance and maintained it for a while until some of the city-states that it had aggregated into this empire got unhappy, resulting in the Peloponnesian War. Athens finally lost its independence in 338 BC when it was conquered. We're going to take an interdisciplinary approach to this. Some Sophocles, some Plato about the trial of Socrates, Thucydides for the history, and Aristophanes' satire of Socrates. Learn more about Athens and its rise and eventual fall. So join us for that in fall in person. The third one is with Richard Krantz, and it is, in a sense, a continuation. Alan Taylor is the author of the Penguin History of America, first 3 volumes. The first volume we did this quarter, and we are doing 2 of the next 2 volumes, but in fall we will only do American republics and half of the next one, which is American Civil Wars. It covers the period from 1783 to 1873. The really great thing about these books is that they are not just about the United States. They are about North America, Mexico, Canada, and the United States. And it's a comparative take on it. Very interesting. So American republics, this covers the period up to 1850. The other book is called American Civil Wars. It takes over in 1850 and goes to 1873. So join us for that. I think it will be very interesting. And did I say we're going to finish the second book in winter? Remember if I said that. It's all in person in Chicago. Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Ed Kleinenberg. I'm going to be co-coordinating fall 14-week in Chicago study group called 2020 Pandemic, How It Changed Our World. The study group is going to be based on a book my son wrote. He's a sociologist at New York University. He's written 6 other books, and one of them started out as a Chicago heat wave book. Some of you may have heard of it. And his book is called 2020, One City, 7 People, and the Year Everything Changed. And he says one city because he focuses on New York, but 7 people, he interviewed people around New York, and he also talks about what happened with the pandemic around the world. So it's not just about New York for sure. 2020, of course, was one of the most consequential years of our lives because of the pandemic. We're going to explore how the COVID pandemic spread around the world, how it deeply affected most of us. Some of the topics we'll examine include how some people made huge contributions to dealing successfully with this plague, how some government leaders succeeded brilliantly in protecting their people while others failed, and I am done. So sign up.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jim Smith, and I've got three. This summer in Chicago, live, Bill Barker and I are doing Thane Rosenbaum's Saving Free Speech from Itself. We're going to look at a whole list of questions. Should the Nazis have been permitted to march in Skokie? Should dignity be given equal weight as free speech in our evaluation of whether speech should go forward? Why are European countries so much more at ease in banning hate speech than the United States? At heart, this is a cri de coeur for less absolutist approach to the First Amendment. I think you'll find many, many interesting legal and political and moral questions raised by this book. That's summer. Bill Barker and I are going to be doing this on Wednesday mornings in person. 2 virtual courses for fall. I'm forsaking history and trying to explain what's gone on and why it continues. Evil Geniuses by Kurt Anderson. How we got to this point. A 40-year conspiracy of CEOs, right-wing activists, and the super rich turned the New Deal into the Raw Deal and weaponized nostalgia and took us back, not to the good old days of the 1950s, but to the Gilded Age, which is where we find ourselves now, with the rich on the backs of the working class. Anderson's an excellent author. I've done fantasy, his Fantasy Nation. He's a superb writer. That'll be virtual. Now that we've got there, who's keeping us here? Vigilante Nation explores the far-right activists who use violence and terror and threats to keep the radical right in power, tracing it all the way back to the Southern vigilantism, which was an essential element in upholding slavery and Jim Crow. Now we see it again. MAGA trolls terrorizing politicians. This is a must-read book for understanding why our politics aren't working. Virtual in the fall. That's all I've got. And since these are Jim Smith courses, in the words of one of the people who were studying in one of my current classes, what you can expect: blood, tears, toil, and sweat.
I'm going to talk about 2 classes. The first one is a summer class. It's going to be a walking class. The title is I Don't Usually Walk Here. And we're going to go to 4 spots in the city that most of us will not have regularly walked and toil around. There'll be no blood involved unless somebody gets a blister. In the fall, I'm going to do a book, and I'm going to do that with Sammy. So we're looking forward to the walking. And in the fall, I'm going to do a book called Generations. I think we're going to title the class My Generation. This book was done virtually a couple of years ago. It's an excellent book. The real differences between Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z, Boomers, and Silents. And it's a highly demographic book. So rather than dealing with a lot of the titles, which contrast a particular generation. This one deals with the differences largely from the standpoint of what do the demographics say about when were they married, how educated were they, what was their disposition toward same-sex marriage and so forth. So you get a really interesting snapshot of our lifetime since it really runs that time period.
Thanks. All right, we need some more people. Anyone who's going to make a preview from here over? Join our 5 seats. All right, we can take a few more. Anybody in this row?
Yeah, I think they have time.
Oh, we've got 5? Okay, well, somebody can come to the podium. Okay, you're here.
Good morning. Okay, Chicago in person. Diane Dunn and I will be leading a class called What Were They Thinking? What Were They Thinking is based on a podcast by Tim Harford, who is an economist, British economist. We're going to be exploring, I would call them mostly man-made disasters or man-influenced disasters. One of the ones we will be looking at is the worst airplane crash in history, which took place on the ground when there was a collision between 2 aircraft, something that is, a little timely again. There is one on the mega heat wave in Chicago that Ed referenced earlier. And what he does is he looks at what happened and all the things that went into things going wrong, because it's never as simple as we like to make it out that one person is at fault. So we really talk about a lot of things that went wrong and try to take those lessons and see, have we learned from those lessons, or are we still going through the same issues now as we were then? So it should be eye-opening and a little scary, but also fun. Summer.
Hi, I'm Ellen Fitzpatrick. I'm doing a 4-week summer class co-coordinating with Pat Stankard. It's on Wednesday mornings, and it's called The Art of the Game, Engaging with New York Times Puzzles. So I bet most of us play at least one New York Times puzzle every day, and anybody who doesn't is probably curious about them. So this could be the study group for you. We'll explore the puzzles in the New York Times crossword puzzle, Wordle, connections, and spelling bee. And we're going to discover strategies to enhance our game playing. And we're going to dig into where these games began and how they began, discuss the cognitive benefits of game playing, and then look at the social community that's kind of evolved around games. We'll break into teams to play some games, and we'll set up an optional leaderboard for a little friendly competition. Anybody like competition? You'll need a subscription to the New York Times to play. New York Times games, not the entire New York Times, for the study group. And you can just sign up for the 1 month if that's all you want to use it. Get ready to sharpen your mind, improve your puzzle solving skills, and gain a deeper appreciation for those games. Above all, we'll have fun. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Dale. I have 3 that I'm going to be talking about, but 2 are sort of similar. The first one is over the summer. It will be in person in Chicago, and it's a variation on a theme. I do a New Yorker study group, and I'm going to be joined this year by 2 new coordinators, so I'm trying to get folks trained. One is Joanne over there, and Sarah, I don't think is here. This will be a variation on our New Yorker magazine, but we're going to be based on New Yorker fiction. We do not have to buy the book, but it's going to be fiction through the years. We're going to start in the 1920s, move it through present time of fiction. Simple, to the point. 2 presentations. This is also going to be, just so you know, it's in person, but it's also going to be hybrid. So we're going to have the ability to do both in person and remote. So if you prefer to go back and forth, or you're going away over the summer, you can go in person, you can also go remote. In the fall, Barb and I will be doing the New Yorker, which is an ongoing class that we do all the time. It is also hybrid. It's the full 14 weeks based here in Chicago, but you do have the ability to come in person or remote as well. The other study group that I'm going to be talking about is one that will be 7 weeks in person in the fall. The second 7 weeks is what we've proposed. And it's a little different than many of the other ones that we've done before, but it is basically talking about end of life. So it's called Living Well, Leaving Well, a conversation about choices at the end of life. This is one of the most difficult conversations I think we can have. And our goal in this class is to, I'm going to be doing that with Sarah Schwartzbaum, who is also a new coordinator. And the elderly, chronically ill will eventually need to make difficult end-of-life decisions based on their wishes and the wishes of their loved ones. Conversations about this topic are not easy, and I know that. In this class, coordinators and participants will talk respectfully about end-of-life planning, but we will not necessarily discuss with each other specifics that we want. We're going to be basing this on videos and articles that we'll be bringing in for you to facilitate this discussion.
Thank you, Dale. Martha.
Am I on? I have three, Pat. And I'm the co-coordinator on all these, so I'm just helping people. The first one is summer, and it's in person, and it's entitled Sanctuary. And I'm doing it with my friend Diane Valencia and my new friend Kevin McCann. And it's based on Henry Louis Gates' book, The History of the Black Church in America. And we're going to look at the role the church has played from slavery to Jim Crow, all the way to civil rights movement. So it should be an interesting look at the role of the church, the Black church. In the fall, I'm co-coordinating with a brand new person, Betsy Mahan, and we're going to do a study group on Rick Atkinson's first volume of his Revolutionary War trilogy. And the first one is called The British Are Coming. And it will look at the average American or the average colonist who becomes an American, the role of British loyalists still living in America, and then how the generals learned from their mistakes, how we got the French involved, how the British Navy and the British Army, the most powerful in the world, were eventually defeated by these little ragtag militiamen. So that will be fall in person. And the other group I'm doing is a product of the workshop patent I did. Jim Koch wants to do a study group on, I have to get my fold out of the way, Operation Dragoon. And I bet Jim Smith maybe is the only person in the room who knows what that is. This was the operation in August after the Normandy invasions that opened the southern French ports to relieve all the pressure on arms and ammunition and tanks and whatever crowding the beaches of Normandy. It's important because it was hotly contested by Winston Churchill. He didn't want to do this. He wanted to fight the war up through Italy and into Austria and to the Balkans because he said that's going to be a critical area. So we're going to talk about, was Churchill right in this study group?
Thank you, Martha. Okay, this half. Come on up. Then we'll get to you folks. Why don't I just let you grab it now?
Oh, thank you. Oh, yay. Handicap has its advantages. We have. Okay, I'm Diane Dunn, and this is 7 weeks in person Chicago, the Roaring 20s, Gatsby, Art Deco, and all that jazz. We're going to read The Great Gatsby. We're going to listen to great composers, Jelly Roll Morton, Duke Ellington, you name them. We're going to also explore all of the great Art Deco designs in architecture, in interiors, in jewelry, in fashion. All of these things happened around 1925 when Gatsby was published and Art Deco made its scene. So we're going to be focused on the brilliance of Fitzgerald, of Gershwin. We're going to, and I'm doing it with Tim Atkins and Kevin McCann, and we are going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be looking at videos. We're going to be reading extra articles. We have some film clips. We might even throw a podcast in there, and it's my time is done, but we're going to have a great time.
Super, Diane, thank you.
Go around.
Kevin?
Hello. 3 fall in-person courses. The first one is, and none of these involve like lots of reading or anything. So, you know, if you're trying to balance your preparation time. The first one is called The Laurel Canyon Sound. It's about the neighborhood in LA that spawned the Byrds and Joni Mitchell and the Eagles and Jackson Brown and a whole bunch of famous musicians, and how it came to be an incubator for music that became very important to America. And I'm co-coordinating that with Tim Atkins. The second one is The Boss, Bruce Springsteen. It's a 7-week course. This is the 50th anniversary this October of Bruce Springsteen appearing on the covers of Time and Newsweek in the same week. Nobody else has done it that's a musician. And so we'll cover his first 7 albums, 1 album per week, and also try to figure out, you know, how he became part of America's conscience. And the third, I'm gonna get this all in 1 minute. The third is to have and to hold collectors and collections. And it's basically a 14-week class about collecting. There'll be a lot of show and tell. We'll tell people how to photograph their collections if they aren't able to bring them in. We'll discuss the nature of collecting, how does something go from being a hobby to being a collection. And one of the things we're hoping to figure out is, are there differences from a gender standpoint in collecting between men and women, to sort of push it broadly. And that's I'm co-coordinating that with Michael Burke. So those will be in the catalog, and hope you guys like them. The last one? To have and to hold collectors and collections.
Hello. I'm going to be doing 2 classes. The first one is going to be The Atlantic. I'm doing this with Barb Glatt, and it's going to be very similar to the New Yorker class, where we're going to take 2 articles every week. It's going to be it's going to be for 14 weeks in the fall, in person, and we're going to be discussing these articles. The second class that I'm going to be doing is called Rachel Maddow's prequel, America's Triumphs Over Fascism and Lessons for Today. So we're going to be using Rachel's book. I'm going to be doing it with Rob Rich, co-coordinator, and this is going to be about, we're going to start off she had a podcast a few years ago about fascism in America and where it was heading and the dangerous situation that we were almost in when the government was almost taken over by this right-wing group in the 1930s. Well, from that book, from that podcast, she wrote a book called Prequel. And so this is a lot richer in tone, and there's going to be some new people in here. It's going to be a great read. And so we're going to be doing that. And then we're going to compare that situation with what's going on today.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm
I'm Barb Leff, and Tim Atkins and I are going to be offering a study group this summer in Chicago in person. We decided it's summer and we want to laugh. So in honor of the 50th anniversary of the release of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, our study group is Monty Python in the movies. As luck would have it, they had 4 theatrical releases, and now for something completely different, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Monty Python's The Life of Brian, and Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. We will be watching these in class, which means that it will be an extended class. It will be 1:15 to 4:15 on Tuesday afternoons.
Thank you, thank you. I'm ready to laugh too.
Thank you. I'm Dick Dufour. This is going to be a fall virtual class that I'm doing with Art Goldman, who many of you know, I think, and David Whitney. It's about artificial intelligence. I know there've been some past classes on this. This will be a little bit different, I think. And the book we'll be using is Why Machines Learn: The Elegant Math Behind Modern Artificial Intelligence. And it's not just math, by the way, although the math is pretty heavy, but it also gets into some of the history and how it's being used.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dorothy Balabanos. 2 classes. It sounds like, what is that, that game? 2 classes, 4 words. Yeah, no, but the 2 classes, the first one is this summer in person. It's called For the Love of Even More Art Summer Edition. Tim Atkins, who I'm convinced there's 7 of him, and I are going to be doing a really fun class as we explore the artwork of 8 artists who we love, including Mary Cassatt, Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, Helen Frankenthaler, and Claude Monet. We'll learn how their lives influence their art, what they're expressing in their artwork, and how to view art for greater appreciation and impact. And we always offer some extras. So this summer, study group members can share the artwork of artists that they love. And we got field trips planned. We're going to tour Chicago's impressive public art scene in walking tours and visit the Art Institute to see some of these artists' work in person. This is the study group for you, no matter if you've wanted to learn more about art but never had the time, or if you're a seasoned, knowledgeable art expert. And that's the beauty of this study group. We all learn from one another. The second one is called A Millennium in North America, Dispelling the Myths of Native Americans. Tim Atkins, Diane Dunn, and I will dispel the countless myths surrounding Native Americans. We'll be using the remarkable Pulitzer Prize winning book called Native Nations. It's a really dorky cover, but the writer is just amazing, and she just won the Pulitzer for history. That's just, no, really? Okay, it's a Pulitzer winner. It'll change every stereotype and myth you had about Native Americans. Field trips, come join us.
Hi, okay, I'm gonna go while people are making their way up. I'm Pat Stankard. I'm gonna do 3 study groups over the summer and fall. Let's see. the summer one, so I'm going to repeat the hands-on AI class that I did last summer that a lot of you participated in. It's not going to be any math, any delving into how does this thing work. We're just going to play with it. We're going to use it in various exercises and figure out what all it can do to help us in our day-to-day lives. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Last year was, everybody seemed to enjoy it. In the fall, Judy Myers and I are going to do a study group called Women Leading Change, Social Reform in America, 1890 to 1920. A number of absolutely amazing changes happened in this 30-year time period, mostly led by women associated with, influenced by, shaped by Jane Addams and Hull House here in Chicago. So, and a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about started here. So the first women on boards of education, school boards, the first juvenile court system, the first women judges for the juvenile court system. But it goes way beyond that. They did all kinds of work in urban poverty, health and safety protections. They created and professionalized fields like occupational health and social work. Okay. No, but I have three. I get one more. Okay. All right, and then the third one is so that's going to be in the fall in person. And also in the fall in person, a 7-week study group I'm going to coordinate with Andy France. Is based on a podcast called Articles of Interest. And this is a really, really interesting podcast. She starts out talking about pockets, for example, or plaid or denim, and goes off into all kinds of segues that are so interesting, you'll never look at your clothes the same way again. So I hope you'll join us for one or all of these.
Hello, I'm Mary Goodkind. For summer, Michael Goodkind and I are offering a course in an area that's described as both exhilarating and terrifying. It's titled How to Clone Your Own Mammoth. Michael's demonstrated. We're going to be reading the book How to Clone a Mammoth, The Science of De-Extinction. And if you've ever wondered if we could or should bring back the carrier pigeon, the dire wolf, the cave bear, this book will help you think through the issues. We'll look at ethics. Our goal is to develop a vocabulary that will make you an informed reader on this important subject. And we hope to develop our skepticism and evaluation skills. Oh, I didn't give the title, Beth Shapiro. She's a Rhodes Scholar author.
Hi there, my name is Joanne Schubel, and I'm very new to OLLI. I'm taking a couple of classes, a class now, took a couple in the winter. So this is my first foray at running a study group, and I actually need a co-coordinator. Start with that. So it's 7 weeks in the fall, and it's called Feminism, Dead or Alive. So while the world has benefited from all the social and political advances of the first 100 years of, over 100 years of feminism, it remains a loaded word in 2025. So in this group, we're going to try to understand how our sons and daughters and our grandkids think about feminism. We're going to take a look back, first of all, at the stuff that we read in our formative years by Betty Friedan and Gloria Steinem and Germaine Greer, for example. Then we're going to look at some millennial feminists, people that our kids' ages, like Roxanne Gay and Shimianda Ngozi Adichie, Rebecca Solnit, and there are even a few men writers, Michael Kaufman. Anyway, then we'll move on to Gen Z. So anyway, 7 weeks in the fall, most essays provided. Thank you.
Done? So this is the one you've all been waiting for, the last one. My name is Richard Krantz, and planning on doing 2 more, besides the one I'm doing with Margaret, for the fall. They will both be 14-week, in-person, Chicago. Question, Pat. If I do one in 30 seconds, do I get a minute and a half for the other? Great. Okay, first one. Richard Hofstadter, you may remember the name. Unfortunately, not with us long enough, but the book is called American Political Tradition. And what this is really is a critique, if you will, of the progressive historians' take on American political history and the literature of hero worship and national self-congratulation. In other words, what we think about people like Jefferson and Madison and all those guys, and including the Roosevelts, that may not be the true picture of who they really were. And so in a series of 12 essays, we will read about different political people throughout our history and determine what Hofstadter claims to be this tradition and how some of our heroes perhaps have a little bit feet of clay, if you will. So join us for that one. The second one is Ferguson on Empire. Neil Ferguson, the British economic historian. He's going to talk about empires. The first one is Empire, how Britain made the modern world. This is a story how small little island, Britannia rules the waves. Uh-oh, am I done? Really? We're going to give you another couple minutes. Go ahead. Yeah, you're the last one, so you can. Okay. So Britain, how they made their empire, how they lost it, and what effect it had on the world. And then he compares it to the United States. And the United States way of empire, which he calls the empire in denial, and how perhaps what you might want to call the failure of the United States to really succeed Britain as the arbiter of the modern world. Join us.
Thank you, Richard. So many thanks to all of you who are doing study groups for summer and fall. We are still short of a few study groups for a full plate for fall. You have until Sunday, but just between me and Pat, if it's Memorial Day weekend, if you need another day or two, we can cope. So bring your ideas and we'll go from there. And again, thank you so much.
I just want to offer a few closing remarks. As I was listening to the previews, one of the things I noticed were the number of newer OLLI members who are stepping up to serve as coordinators, and the number of coordinators who are mentoring and bringing in new coordinators. And this is what active OLLI engagement is all about. So thanks to all of you for participating, and we hope that those of you who are going to register for these study groups will continue to be active participants, and when you're asked to serve as a discussion leader, that you will step up and do it. So I want to thank all of you for being here today, and I think you're going to be in really good hands with the incoming advisory council members, and I think that's it. We finished early.